Hello, welcome back to It's New. We got we fired Mordy. We brought in Glenn. Mordy was just too much of a liability for the show, so we figured to replace him with Glenn. No, I don't think Glenn has time to do this every day, but Mordy has plenty of time, so he's able to do it every day. So I'm just joking. In any event, he should be joining any minute, so hopefully he'll get here any minute, and we'll get him in. But I'd like to thank Glenn for joining us and replacing. Oh, Mordy got in.
You can't replace me with Glenn.
God.
Join it.
Wow, I see your true intent here. Also, hey, Finn, where's the Angels hat?
I forgot. I'll wear it tomorrow.
I asked him that already.
He only likes to hurt my feelings, not yours.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
I would never do that to Glenn. Never.
Yeah, see?
Anyway, thank you again for being here. He's going to go ahead and explain what we couldn't explain yesterday in that failure of a show. I blame Mordy, not myself. Anyway, we'll get to that. And then, Mordy, what are you talking about?
Oh, we're recording. Didn't realize.
Yes.
I just hopped on the meeting. I'm talking about what Google's were saying about the Great Decoupling.
And I'll quickly discuss Google search ranking volatility and what Google has to say about the LLMs.txt file. Greg, what do you got for us?
Google is testing a new ad visual unit that is loading.
And a new.
Different priorities for Google PMax and Smart Campaigns conversions.
Awesome. All right. So this is where, Glenn, I know you watched the show. So if you could go ahead and explain to us how wrong we were and explain to the audience how this all works with Search Console tracking AI mode, clicks, impressions, and positions.
And who was more wrong, Barry or Greg?
Well, yeah, this has been very interesting. So we've been obviously waiting for AI mode to be tracked in Google Search Console. We kind of had a feeling. I wrote a post a while ago. I don't know if you remember it, but I said this is how it potentially could happen. Parts of that were definitely true, unfortunately. And it's super, super confusing. And you know, the biggest thing is, let's just go through everything. So number one, it's going to be mixed in with the web results. So basically that's going to be mixed in with 10 blue links data, featured snippets, image packs, AIOs, and now AI mode. So basically we're going to be talking about experiments that I've run, but that's knowing exactly what I searched for, knowing the page, knowing the time, checking 24-hour view. No one's ever going to do that, right? I mean, so basically you're just going to hop in. You're going to have no idea if that query or that click was from any of these different search types or modes. So let's just get that out of the way. So basically it's going to be very, very hard to decipher anything about AI mode. So next, Google said it's in Google Search Console. It's in the web performance data, and it's going to take on basically standard impression rules and standard position rules. Okay. So this is really interesting because AI mode could have different types of treatment depending if you're on mobile or desktop, and even different types of treatment within each, right? So let's talk about, like right now I have, and I'm sure Barry will add this screenshot or whatever as we go through this, but I have two AI modes open, one mobile, one desktop. And if you look at what I put in here was just World War II causes, right? Because it's a good one, brings up a lot of information. So you have information on the left with little link icons. Then on the right, you always have that panel with links, right? So those are links to publishers where the information's coming from or was sourced from. So the way it's going to work, okay, based upon the standard impression rules and standard position rules, is that the module in the upper right-hand corner, which lumps together all of those links, is going to be position 1, okay? So now everything, and we believe this is the way it's going to be, everything since it's in that module is going to be treated as one specific block rank. So everything in there will be number 1, okay?
Quick
now,
question, Glenn, to clarify.
Yeah.
If it says there's 6 sites and it only shows 3, and you have to hit the show all to get to all 6 that are in that right-hand module.
Yeah.
All 6 of those are counted as 1.
Correct. And standard impression rules are with carousels or any feature like that, the listing has to be scrolled into view in order to gain an impression. And you need to gain an impression in order to gain a position, right? So yes. So basically And just so you know, that module on mobile is actually a carousel at the top. So that carousel on mobile at the top will be #1 position, and nothing that's out of view will gain an impression until you scroll it into view. So technically, let's say you're ranking 5 or 3 or 6 or whatever in that carousel, you will not gain an impression until someone actually swipes that and scrolls that into view.
Barry, can I share my screen for the audience just so we can see it?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
I'm nervous.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's one. #2, on the left-hand side, yeah, this is great. So on the right-hand side, that module will be #1. Okay. Now everything in there will be #1.
And
Now,
all three of these have an impression because they're shown, correct?
Correct. Exactly.
But
But if you hit F12, if you're in Chrome and you go to mobile view, you'll see what I'm talking about. Just hit F12 and then F5 to
There.
yeah. So yeah, just hit F5. So now it's going to refresh, and at the top now it's a carousel, right? So there are 2 impressions there.
Okay.
Okay, because 2 are being displayed. That second one is kind of lame because it's only part of it, but it will get an impression. Everything else will not gain an impression until you actually scroll it into view. Okay. Now, down on the left, if you go back to desktop, on the left-hand side, you will see little link icons. Those will trigger on the right-hand side sources. So if you click that, you'll see the sources on the right. We actually don't know exactly how Google's going to handle that yet. It's very hard to decipher during the experiments if that's going to be position 2, 3, 4, or 5, right? Because technically it's still triggering in that box in the upper right-hand corner in that module. So that potentially could be position 1 still, or it could be position 2, 3, 4, depending on those link icons. Okay.
See, that's where the confusion I think we had from yesterday was. Anyway,
Right.
go ahead.
Yeah. Now hold on. I just want to say, sometimes you will see links in the left side content, right? Where it's blue links.
Right.
Those will take on position 2, 3, 4, 5. Although, and this is where it gets really interesting, standard impression rules, okay, and position rules are that and Google has this in their documentation, on desktop, if you have I'm talking about 10 blue links now. If you have 10 blue links and then let's say a knowledge panel on the upper right, that knowledge panel will be the position after the 10 blue links. So that could be number 11, 12, or 13, or whatever it may be. So if you take that, if there are links on the left-hand side that are blue, that potentially could be #1, #2, #3. And then that module on the upper right would technically be after that. But we don't know if that's the case because it's really, really hard to determine. Now, if you switch back to mobile, I just want to cover the rest of how that looks in mobile. So you have the carousel up top, that's ranked #1, right? The links down below, the link icons, which trigger that whole bottom list of sources, right? So if you're able to click that. Now that bottom list of sources, we don't know if that's going to be #2, #3, #4, or if it's still going to be part of that original carousel of show all, because at the end of the carousel, you would trigger all of those. Now, if you scroll, and if there are blue links in there, now this is where it's different than desktop. The carousel is first, so that will be position 1. The blue links below would be position 2, 3, 4, depending on how many are there. And then if you scroll down to the very bottom, Greg, if you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see additional links. Okay, so that's going to be later. So let's say there's just a carousel up top and then this down below. This will be position 2. And everything in there will be position 2. You will not gain an impression if you're not shown by default until someone clicks show all and scrolls you into position.
I appreciate
Clear,
that. Glenn.
right? It's just so clear. Now, I want to cover the experiments I ran, right?
Right.
So I actually went into AI mode specifically for specific queries, made sure I could track all this data through Google Search Console. I did 3 more experiments yesterday. All of the clicks did show up in Google Search Console, but all of the query information was filtered out.
Because
Google,
because Right, they filter out those long queries because they're considered private or safety reasons.
Exactly, too unique, too private, whatever it may be. Although they were not, by the way. Okay, they definitely were not. So, and as of this morning, still, I see no query data. So I can't actually see really the position for that query, the one that I entered that I knew. So what does this all come down to? You're not going to be able to figure anything out. If during isolated experiments, I cannot figure it out, where I know exactly the time, the query, the page, everything like that, and all I'm getting is a click showing up there, forget it. No one's going to be able to figure this out. And that's exactly what Google wants.
Wow. Thank you, really. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the show and sharing that with us. Because
yeah, no problem. I hope it cleared everything up.
You're crystal clear now.
Now, Barry, could you repeat it back?
I thought, for the most part, I think I hear where I got some things confusing because of all the different blocks and understanding mobile versus the desktop. It makes it much more confusing, especially because of the carousels versus the list views versus what it goes below and the follow-ups and then those blue links. Huge. I mean, that's so confusing. So thank you, Glenn, for explaining all that. And we'll have a test on that tomorrow for the team. You can hang out or you could, add commentary. We'll finish up the show. It's up to you, Glenn. Whatever. It's up to you.
Can I ask one more question to Glenn?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, what's up?
So if you show up for like an answer in AI mode and let's say there's 11 sites like we saw and only 3 showing, right? All those 11 in that right-hand rail are going to be number 1. We talked about that. But from that decoupling that we talk about, we're really only going to see that when people click in and load those impressions. But those top 3 that are shown, they're going to be impressions, and those are the ones that are going to be decoupled. So if you are showing in AI overviews in the side of the AI overviews pack, you are going to be more apt to see that decoupling, which may or may not necessarily be a bad thing when you're looking at your stats. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So whatever is there by default is going to see all those impressions gaining, and that's what everybody's been seeing with that graph. But the ones that aren't or deeper in, then they're not going to see that unless somebody triggers show all and scrolls them into view.
So almost the people ranking higher in those boxes are going to have more decoupling, and you almost want to be more decoupled than the people that are buried under the show more.
Yeah, it's a good way to think about it for sure. I mean, at least you're showing up, and you do have a greater chance at click through at that point. But yeah, definitely.
Amazing. All right, thank you. With that, let's talk a little bit about the decoupling. That was a good segue, Greg. So Mordy, that's for you to cover right now, just to be very specific.
I will talk about decoupling. I got it. So this, I know transitions. This comes from, so Barry was covering Martin Splitt from Google speaking somewhere, I think in Warsaw. So in general, when Barry's covering these things, it's hard for Barry to be accurate because Barry wasn't there, which is surprising that Barry's not everywhere. I kind of think it was like omniscient, omnipresent, but he's not. So Barry's covering Robert, somebody sharing a picture of Martin Splitt talking about decoupling, and Martin basically saying, yeah, so you're going to see things. I'll just read the quote. So yes, if things are being shown in AI overviews, you will probably see less clicks. But then he goes on to say, so likely your impressions are going up, but if you are showing AI overviews or AI mode, the almost part of the quote, clicks are likely to stagnate or fall a little bit, but this is likely might increase your conversions, which is pretty good, I think. I don't know where he got that from.
So, yeah, so it's funny. How
is that true? I don't know if that's true.
That's just the PR line that Google's been. Yeah, it's the PR line Google's been spinning. And then I asked him on that. I'm like, how do you know people will convert later in the customer journey without search involved? Because I'm quoting him. And then he's like, I shouldn't have shared that. I was on social media when I was tired. That part is an observation I made myself and something I guess is going to happen based on a remark someone recently made in a chat I had during an event. Google cited zero data on this, right, Glenn?
Absolutely. So there's no data, but I will say from the very beginning, and I had early access to AI mode, is that I found that as I was doing follow-up questions and then clicking through, I would be a better visitor and user for that site. Now, but again, that's just me with what I was doing. I thought maybe that they had run some user studies and understood this for sure, but it seems like that's not the case, at least from what they're explaining.
No, but even in that case, let's say I had 1,000 more clicks because of the way search was structured. And out of those 1,000 clicks, I don't know, 800 were still decent clicks. But now I'm down to only 500 clicks. And yeah, the percentage is higher, but the actual number of good clicks could be lower. I just don't understand. Like, it's not so linear.
Well, if Google Search Console showed us the data, maybe there's a way for us to track it. If there was some GA4 tracking, maybe we could track conversions. But no, thank you, Google. I mean, we could talk about this forever. So we're going to move on. Google Search had ranking volatility. Surprise, surprise. It's actually been a while. It's almost 10 days since I covered the last one. So if you are seeing ranking volatility on June 18th, you're not alone. Most of the tools are showing significant volatility, and there's a lot of chatter going on in the community. And then John Mueller, I was waiting to cover this. I haven't written a story on LLMs.txt in ever. And I was just waiting. I'm like, it's not really important. It's still not important. But John Mueller basically said, for your information, no AI system currently uses that file, the LLMs.txt file. It's not like a robot.txt file in that it's blocking stuff. It's just basically like more of like a sitemap to feed pages to these LLMs, although nobody's really using it to get fed from it, if that makes sense. So again, it doesn't hurt necessarily to add it, but I don't think it's a thing you need to go ahead and do right away. And by default anyway, these LLMs are already consuming your content because they're around and you didn't provide this beforehand. So anyway, if you want to be in these LLMs and you are nervous that you need to have one of these files, you can use it, but none of them are actually currently using it. So it might be a waste of your time.
I disagree. Because as an SEO person, what will I charge for? Oh, now I can charge for creating an LLM file.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of maddening, all this stuff that's been thrown around out there. And I was very happy to see John actually come on and say that, which is why I shared it this morning and said, basically, wait, this won't be some magical element that makes you rank better. I mean, so I was pretty happy that he did that.
Yep. SEOs be SEOs. And then Google Ads on lines, right?
Yes. They are 100% on lines, and they have lines within the ads. Barry, I know we're late here, so I'm going to share my screen just to save you some editing. There was a test spotted in the wild with, it looks to me like a loading bar. To me, like this looks like a doodle jump board where you're trying to jump from one platform to the next platform, then up onto that. What is this? This is an awful, awful experience. This is not going to stay. It looks like it's just a broken loading bar.
I mean, is it a slider or something?
It doesn't move. I don't
like
think.
a tab, like it's opening a different screen. And
Can you swipe it?
You can't. I don't think anything works there. It's just the design, so it alternates. I think. I don't know. I didn't have access to this test myself, but it is interesting.
Yeah, that sure looks like you could actually swipe that to something else, but I don't know.
It does.
Yeah.
I wish we had Anthony Higman on for this. We should dial him in to get his opinion.
Tomorrow.
He likes it.
I'm sure he loves it. He's in love with it. And then let's talk a little bit about PMax and smart campaigns.
Yeah, something a bit more useful than just sliding bars. Google is shifting how smart and PMax campaigns are going to be optimizing for offline conversions. So that means that, Google is now going to be optimizing more aggressively for users interacting with local surfaces, especially maps and search. And the main things that people should look out for is to maintain performance. Google recommends that smart bidding targets to loosen the smart bidding targets, expand location coverage, and diversify offline goals. Temporarily, you might see a dip in conversions, but it's expected to then level out as soon as with more optimization done according to Google's recommendation. They gave a whole list of other things that you could advise to do, and I've put that in my article. So check this out.
Barry, one quick thing here. I thought there was a fantastic comment on yesterday's horrifically bad video that we put out there from National Tiende. They said, today is when you ask AI overview to make a video. That was about yesterday's show. So hopefully we got Glenn here today, and it is much better than that. Yesterday.
Glenn, you're always welcome whenever we say things that are completely make no sense. I appreciate you coming on and clarifying all that. It was not easy, but I appreciate it. And we're hopefully back tomorrow with more. It's new, and hopefully we don't need to be clarified in the future. But again, you're always welcome, Glenn, whenever you want to show up. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you. I hope it was clear, but I'm not sure it was.
Bye, everybody.
All right.